Hi, I'm Jennifer Fox with MusicEducatorResources.com, and today is Music Teacher Tip number 18. So I just finished off my fall kickoff. Fall kickoff is when the very first activity I do when lessons are back in session for the fall semester. We kick it off. I introduce our new theme for the year. We share what we did over the summer, any projects that they accomplished, and then we do some getting to know you activities. So I thought today's teacher tip is to share some of those getting to know you activities that I've enjoyed over the years. So the first one that I wanted to show you is actually a free printable in the store. If you go to musiceducatorresources.com and just click on that store link, you will find in the search bar, just put getting to know you, and you'll find it. It's a getting to know you fidget spinner game. So the printout looks like this. And it just has a wheel that has a bunch of different questions on it. And the other thing you'll want is a fidget spinner. So my fidget spinner lights up, and which I love. So it lights up, that's the fast one, then it has a medium, and then it has a slow one. And so what they're gonna do is spin it. Now, if you're doing this in a lesson, a one-on-one type lesson, then you'll want to then just have them gently spin it for the most part. There is another way that you can do it with both group and one-on-one as well. So, but if you don't have a lot of time and you want to have them spin several times, depending on the question, just have them lightly spin it. The other version is to have them go give it a really good spin, and then during the time that it's spinning, they're going to ask as many questions as they can that's on the wheel. So if you're doing it the slow version, the spinner is going to land wherever it lands. That wherever it stops, that's the question you ask. But if you do it the fast version, they're going to try to get through all these questions. So this works great in a group format if you partner your students up 2 by 2, and it's kind of like a speed date style. So they have whatever time the spinner is spinning to get through as many questions as they can. Just a couple of fun ideas for the Getting to Know You game. The printable is free, so go grab it. And if you don't have a spinner that lights up like this one, then go ahead and just, if you have a spinner, go ahead and just put like a little sticker on the end or something so they know that's the end to that, if it stops, that's the end, the question to ask. All right, so let's move on. Another fun one that I like to do is I like to do a human spinner. So I basically sit a student on an office chair that can spin around, and they are the human spinner. And they'll spin around. I'll have a student spin them around, but I make it a rule that they just do a nice little one spin, not too crazy. They're not going to take them around and around and around. So just one good spin without the chair falling over. So have some rules in place for this one. And then have them sit their legs straight out. So when the spinner stops and their leg lands on whatever student is sitting there, you can ask all sorts of musical questions. You can have them use the printable that I just showed you on the fidget spinner if you want to do it that way instead of using a fidget spinner. You can have them answer theory questions. You can ask them what their favorite thing they did over the summer. I mean, really anything goes, any question with this game, and they absolutely love it. And make sure you have enough time where everybody who wants to can be the human spinner, because trust me, they're gonna want to. Another one that you could do if you're okay with using candy is do the M&M game. So the students will take a little handful of M&Ms, maybe 3 to 5 M&Ms, and you can assign questions to that particular M&M color, or you could do this with Skittles, anything like that. So just take a few, not too crazy, and then, for example, blue can be, what is your favorite thing about music? Green, what is your favorite song? Things like that. So they can answer those questions, or you can just have them, if they take 5 things, 5 M&Ms or Skittles or whatever, they can share 5 things about themselves. And there's different things you can do with it. So that one's a lot of fun. Also, another one that I like to do, and this works, you've probably played this at parties, but maybe haven't thought about doing it in a music environment. But you could do two truths and a tale. So this is always fun. They're not always music related, but it gets them to know each other better. So it's basically two things that they're sharing is true, and then one is a tale, and then they have to figure out which one is the tale. And of course, you might have to explain what a tale means. So that's fun. You can even do a music version of this, you know, two truths and a tale about a music concept, and then have them figure out, you know, which one was the tale. And if they know their theory really well, then they'll know the tale really easy. Another one is just having a getting to know you printable sheet with lots of questions. This one is our superhero one from last year. I always have this every year. I use this with my students, and they fill it out so I can get to know them better. So you could have them take this home and fill it out. You can do it during a lesson. If you do music lab like I do, I have them do it during the music lab time. You can do it during a group time if you want. You can even use this paper for a game called Let's Mingle. So after they fill this out, if you're doing this in a group setting, after they fill it out, they're going to go around the room and see who has a similar answer to a question. So for example, one of the questions is, what is your favorite musical group and or song? Well, if I wrote down Imagine Dragons, then I'm going to go around the room to see if anybody else wrote down Imagine Dragons. So the goal is to get as many students that have the same type of answers that they can. So they're mingling around the room trying to figure out who has common answers with them. They might have the same birthday month, you know, things like that. So that's a fun game as well in a group setting. Another fun game is, of course, bingo. You could do bingo with anything, right? So you could fill out a bingo sheet and just have things like has long hair or plays two instruments or likes to sing, you know, things like that. And then they're just filling their spaces. You could do a couple different ways where you're drawing the bingo, or again, you can do it Let's Mingle style, where they're going around the room and finding, you know, trying to get their bingo. So a couple of different options for that. Fun activity using names. There's a couple ideas for that. Catchy names, of course, is something where you're taking your name and making it catchy. So for example, I would be Jolly Jennifer, or Elizabeth might be Energetic Elizabeth, and they're trying to memorize the names with that thing. Now you can combine this idea with a rhythm name game. So the rhythm name game is students are chanting their name in a fun rhythm. So as they go around this circle, they're, you know, Jolly Jennifer, or Energetic Elizabeth, or, you know, whatever the rhythm that they're doing. Now, if you wanted to spice it up even more, they can do a silly voice, or they can do an action like a body beat with it. So Jolly Jennifer, you know, or Jolly Jennifer, you know, whatever, and go around the room. And if you wanted to make it even more challenging, you could have them where it builds, you know, the students have to name each student as the circle builds. And that gets really challenging. If you do body beats, that's probably too much to memorize. But lots of possibilities with it. Oh, spider web game. This is one I've done in the past that is a lot of fun, just to get to know my students better and, you know, maybe find out what they did over the summer. So I usually start it. So if you start it, the teacher would take the yarn or string or whatever you have, and I usually have them share 3 things. So they could share their name, they could share something they did over the summer, and maybe their favorite thing about learning music. And so then after they're done, they're going to throw or roll the yarn. If it's a ball, it's a lot easier to roll, to a student, maybe across the circle. It's usually best if it's not right next to them. And the first person, so if I was the first person, it would be me, I would hold on to the string and not let it go when I throw it or when I roll it. So then the next person shares and the string's like this. And then when they roll it, it's going to be creating a pattern with the yarn. So they don't ever let go of the string, even when they pass the yarn. They're always holding onto the string. So it's creating this cool spider web effect, which is really cool. When it's all said and done, it looks really awesome. So I just say, there's a couple rules I have them do. First, they have to keep, holding on to it, but I don't want them pulling on it or tugging on it, because when that happens, the web falls apart. We don't want the web to fall apart. And they have to just keep hold. So don't let go, but no pulling or tugging on it. And that one's a lot of fun as well. So those are all just fun getting to know you activities that you can do the very first lesson back if you're in a group setting. And then there was a couple that I mentioned if you're not in a group setting that are still fun to do. And some of these can be adapted if just one-on-one if you are wanting to do that. But I love to do the fall kickoff for the very first lesson back after a break. Because it's a great way to kick it off and do some fun games and just get back into the swing of things before we actually get back into the swing of things. So it's kind of like having a soft opening. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about those ideas, and I would love to hear about any ideas that you might have tried with your students. Happy teaching. Bye.